Remember when Dejanay Carrington, that one clown on that one WNBA team? That's how I describe most of them. Yeah, that one girl on that one team. I don't know who's on one team except now that Sophie Cunningham has started to take her clothes off. I'm like, oh, yeah, she's on Phoenix. I remember that. Remember Carrington went with the Adam Woodbury eye poke? Right in Iowa. Adam Woodbury was an Iowa player who eye poked guys when he was playing in college. I famously called it out, and all Iowa blew up on me. And I was digging it. Even the coach, McCaffrey, blew up on me. And I was digging it. Well, anyway, Caitlin Clark, got eye poked by her Dejanay Carrington. It was an intense matchup. Between the Fiva of Indianapolis and the Connecticut Sun. Well, Clark is putting that accusation to rest. She's not doing what we want her to do. Let's hear what this is all about. Saying it was not done on purpose. All right, Caitlin Clark supports WNBA players stand against Christine Brennan. Now, wait. Anybody that supports a claim against Christine Brennan or Nancy Moore, I'm usually all in with. But let's take a look here. The incident led USA Today columnist Christine Brennan, who already had made a habit of tailing Clark and is writing a book about Clark, the Indiana Fever phenom, to put Carrington through a rather insistent line of questioning about the hit. After Carrington dismissed the idea that her contact with Clark's face was intentional, Brennan circled back to ask whether Carrington was laughing about the play afterwards with a teammate. As various internet sleuths, and we are sleuths, aren't we? That's why I'm wearing black today. I feel very sleuthy. Had speculated later, the WNBA's Player Association issued a statement condemning Brennan and request that the league revoke Brennan's credentials for the rest of the playoffs. Now, let me explain something to you. If you're going to play in the big leagues, you're going to get big league reporters, and whether you like, dislike, whatever you think of Christine Brennan, for years and years and years, she's been a big league reporter. For years and years and years, she's been one of the few that has actually cared about and reported on the WNBA. So the idea that the Players Association is going to go after her over a line of questioning is asinine. But remember, again, both sides of this. Caitlin Clark is the golden child. Excuse me. Caitlin Clark is supposed to be Gandhi, Buddha, Martin Luther King, all wrapped into one. So anytime she was involved, and maybe it'll die down, there's going to be a controversy, and it's all absurd and ridiculous. Of course it is. It's absurd. If somebody gets poked in the eye that is of Caitlin Clark's magnitude, of course a reporter is going to ask a question. Then you couple that with the hits on Caitlin Clark, whether it was from behind, out of bounds by that Kennedy Carter, whatever her name was, whether it was somebody sliding into her, coming when she was dribbling down the court from the right side. Of course you're going to ask. Brennan did nothing wrong to ask and ask again, because there were, and I saw them, actual clips of this woman Carrington laughing. We saw that as well with the barnacle on Caitlin Clark's ass, Angel Reese, who famously laughed when her teammate Kennedy Carter knocked Caitlin Clark down as she was simply going to receive an inbound pass. Everybody laughed about it. Legitimate questions, unbelievable softness by the Women's National Basketball Association, Players Association. Unbelievable that they did that. Like, you want to play in the minor leagues? Get the reporter from the Des Moines Daily Mail, and they'll come and write a puff piece on Clark every day. The Indy Star, Dana Bembau-Hounziger, will write a puff piece about somebody's dog on the team. You want to play in the big leagues? You want to raise the profile to a national level? You're going to get the big-time reporters. And, oh, by the way, the big-time reporters aren't afraid to ask some 22-year-old little girl from Iowa a question, or some long-nailed, long-lashed girl from wherever Carrington is from a question, particularly when it pertains to the Golden Goose, the 22-year-old little girl from Iowa. You follow me here? It's insanity. So we go to Clark. And again, this has people pissed off because Caitlin Clark is supposed to come at everybody. Well, maybe she will when she's 30, But as a 22-year-old, she's just playing. She doesn't know what she doesn't know. I don't care if every little girl at a Fever game is wearing a Caitlin Clark jersey. I don't care. She don't know what she don't know at 22. Never once did that cross my mind talking about the Pope. Never once did it cross my mind that that was on purpose, she told Time Magazine. This is all from the Time Magazine arc. I've been poked in the eye many times playing basketball. I'm not going to lie to you. I played a lot more basketball at this point than Caitlin Clark, and I've never been poked in the eye. No, never. Certainly not on a jump shot. No, I never. I know people have. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the first guy I ever saw wear goggles, he got poked in the eye. I don't ever remember anybody going down over getting poked in the eye. So if Caitlin Clark has, maybe that's just the difference between men's and women's basketball. I don't know. Now, I do know the one dude from Iowa was kind of like the mad eye poker, but that was just stupid, clumsy, 7-foot dork. Anyway, I've been poked in the eye many times playing basketball. It happens. Reporter Sean Gregory added that Clark supported the WNBA PA's response and sided with Carrington. The whole line of questioning that Carrington got was not appropriate, and I did not like that. Well, so what? But again, I don't mind Clark saying that because you ask her opinion. Somebody asks Caitlin Clark her opinion, she's going to give it. Now, is this opinion genuine? I got no idea. But the one thing I have said about Caitlin Clark, she's really, I don't know, never given anybody any reason to believe that she's a liar, hasn't given anybody any reason to believe that she massages things. I guess maybe when the resident creeper, Greg Doyle, did all that creepy stuff and she was kind of stunned by it, she didn't exactly handle it by ripping him, but I do know this. Somebody somewhere, somehow behind the scenes got the guy banned from doing and watching in person, reporting on Indiana Fever games in the WNBA. So something happened in the background. Look, I think if the WNBA, again, wants to play in the big leagues, the best thing they can possibly do is welcome controversy. Look, the WNBA PA, if you're going to get mad at Christine Brennan for that, for asking somebody, did you poke her in the eye on purpose after all that happened, you're as soft as that Ohio representative that's making it a felony to plant a flag in the middle of Ohio Stadium when you are an opposing player. I said felony. You're that kind of soft. You want to play in the big leagues or you want to be a victim? You want to play in the big leagues or what do you want? I want special. I want equal but special. Look, can you imagine somebody getting mad at a line of questioning in the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball? Can you imagine somebody say, well, I didn't like that reporter's line of questioning when the background would be similar? Isaiah Thomas going down the lane, getting knocked out 100 years ago by Karl Malone after being knocked out before, and somebody asked Malone, what are you doing? Did you do it on purpose? I mean, come on. At the time Christine Brennan asked that question, there was clear racism and physical racism against Caitlin Clark. Maybe Caitlin Clark didn't feel it. I don't know. Maybe Caitlin Clark didn't want to feel it. I don't know. But I look at both sides here. The WNBA was idiotic to question, absolutely question, and try to revoke Christine Brennan's credential. Whether Clark sides with the WNBA PA is inconsequential. She almost has to. One thing about Caitlin Clark is, and I will give her this, and you can get mad at me for saying it, she's not about herself. These last 2 days, this interview with Time showed that she is about uplifting her sport. That's what everybody wants her to do. That's what all the African Americans were yelling and screaming about on TV. Well, that's what she's doing. And if you don't see it, I can't help you. Next, Chapel Bill. That's the new phrase, Chapel Bill. See what we did there? I think Adam Schefter, at least he was the first one I saw. Now, I've met Schefter. There's no way he's that clever. But anyway, Chapel Bill is in Chapel Hill. That's right, Bill Belichick, the gruff one, the hoodie. He has landed in Chapel Hill, 5 years, allegedly $10 million a year. God bless him. People are saying it's the most stunning and compelling move in college football history. Six-time head coach of a Super Bowl champ, 8-time overall Super Bowl champ, is named the new head coach, Bill Belichick, at the University of North Carolina, pending an approval by the Board of Trustees. Well, the head of the Board of Trustees is the one that alleged was the conduit to get this all going on. So that, ladies and gentlemen, that will happen. It will. He's bringing Mike Lombardi on with him as the program's general manager. Hold on. Now, before anybody says we've never seen this before, I believe this is what Herm Edwards tried to do at Arizona State. I do. I think he did. Antonio Pierce, Herm Edwards, and the rest. I believe that's what they tried to do. But here's a little backstory for you. Apparently, in the 60s, I believe it was, Bill Belichick's dad coached at North Carolina. Apparently, they loved North Carolina. That factors into it. Did you know that North Carolina football has not won an ACC title since 1980? Now, look at this. Get a good peek. See the head? Full head of hair, jamming to REO Speedwagon, trying to make time with a girl named, I'm not going to say her name, but I was too afraid to talk to her, at Pat Burns' house, 1980, going to the state championships when I was in high school in 1980. That's how long it's been. I'm trying to give you perspective. It's been since 1980. ACC champ. Did I say NCAA champ? Au contraire. So Belichick, by all accounts, is trying to Signetti it. Come on in and wake a sleeping giant. Indiana, known as a basketball school. North Carolina, maybe the basketball school along with Duke. They're trying to elevate the whole thing. How about this? 400 pages, a manifesto. That's what Belichick presented to the people in charge of hiring. And it's going to be set up, according to Belichick, like an NFL feeder system. Lombardi, general manager, contract negotiations, that type thing. Belichick, head coach, football operations, that type of thing. Fascinating stuff. And allegedly, more than $20 million has been poured into the NIL fund. That should buy you a decent team. $20 million is an interesting number because that's the number that folks have said Ohio State paid for this year's debacle against Michigan. Don't know whether it's true. Included in the manifesto was the salary structure by position. Included in the manifesto was the list and the salaries demanded for assistant coach, all apparently researched and put in a neat binder. How about that? You want to get hired, get a hold of Belichick's manifesto. That'd be pretty good. I guarantee you it's organized, well-written, and has the thoughts and has the opinions and has the entire framework of Belichick's years and years of coaching. Be pretty fascinating to see that bad boy. No, it'd be pretty good. I'm kind of digging it. But here's the deal. Now you got to go win. Do people want to play for Belichick? Why wouldn't you? Now, a lot of people say, well, you know, how's he going to walk into teenagers' house? I don't know if you've noticed this, but since Belichick has retired and gone on the Manning cast, gone on with McAfee, gone on different places, seems pretty personable. Yeah, it kind of does. I get it. You don't see that. Press conferences, no, we're on to Duke. I don't have my hoodie. Close. I mean, I can pull this bad boy up. I don't really have a hoodie. It's kind of a cool sweater my wife gave me. I'll put the collar up like I'm in the 80s at Nick's English Hut. But anyway, I digress. Of course, people are going to want to play if he pays them. Here's the difference, though, between Signetti and Belichick, and this is interesting to me. I talked about football schools. I talked about sleeping giants. Okay. Signetti, having been a head coach at a very successful program at James Madison, almost came with, well, in fact, did come with 13 of his best, if not his best players from James Madison. So he had a built-in transfer portal. Belichick doesn't really have that. It's going to be interesting. Most people are going to compare Belichick to Cignetti. Maybe they compare Belichick to the improvement by Deion Sanders. We'll see. But I got to tell you, North Carolina, Indiana, basketball schools with relatively zero football history. Few good players here and there, guys in the NFL, Julius Peppers, Lawrence Taylor. You know what I'm talking about. However, Cignetti came with 13 guys, and those guys are good. Those guys are really, really good. What would be a week if we didn't talk about the ever failing? I think failing. I mean, it's hard to say Aaron Rodgers has failed because Aaron Rodgers has made a ton of money. Apparently, he was on a short list to be a vice president candidate for Robert Kennedy Jr. Apparently, he's got an empire. He's into the spleef and all the good stuff in life, drinks his scotch with a finger out, and still throws a football for a living, making, 8-9 figures. It's pretty good. I know they've lost, but what the hell? Hey, he is not happy. He is Aaron Rodgers. He's making his stance known on ESPN. He rips the network for transforming itself into a bounty of unfounded or asinine takes. He ain't wrong here. No, he's not wrong here at all. They believe their opinions are so important now, and they believe they are celebrities. He's absolutely right. Look, I saw it for myself. I saw it for myself the way people changed once, I guess, in airports or wherever, people started recognizing ESPN dorks in airports. It was fascinating to me. Fascinating the change of Sarah Spain, who was just a nice woman when she worked at what the hell is it? AM 1000. When she worked at AM 1000, and all of a sudden she became a mouth, a thing, and, we got to listen to her. Not anymore, apparently. But boy, is he right. Here's what he had to say. There's a lot of people talking about the game now, both non-former players and former players, who are trying to stay relevant fame-wise. That's 100% true. No, that's 100% true. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, would you like to broadcast college basketball games again? And I said, yeah. I said I would, not for the fame, don't need it, the exposure, don't need it, and really they don't pay that great. Just, I like being part of a team. And my team here is great. I've heard from Irvin. Fox Sports is great. That was my answer. Yeah, I like being part of a team. I do. But boy, is he right. When I first started at ESPN, LaFonso Ellis, myself, Ryan Burr, who you've known, I never felt like anybody was competing for airtime. I never felt like anybody when I was on with Doug Gottlieb or Fran Fraschilla or Seth Greenberg later on was competing for airtime. Now everybody's got a shtick. I mean, did you see this Martin woman's the way she dressed yesterday? Look at me, look at me, look at me. I never felt that way. I like being on a team. Team is important to me. Working with people that are fun to be around is important to me, but he's absolutely right. These guys are trying to stay relevant. In some cases, these guys are trying to figure out a way to get that cap money, become a social justice dynamo. Nike, look at me, put me in a commercial, even though I'm 50. I mean, it's just the way it is. You ask me, who is an example? Watch a guy on TV. Watch Damian Woody. Watch Stephen A. Smith. You think those guys are teammates? Not a chance. Woody might be. That might be unfair. So the takes and criticisms are a lot different than they were maybe in the mid-2000s. Talking about these experts on TV who nobody remembers what they did in their career. Talking to you, Dominic Foxworthy. I'm talking about the experts on TV who nobody remembers what they did in their career. Damian Woody, Jeff Saturday. I'm just saying. So in order for them to stay relevant, they have to make comments to keep them in the conversation. That is true. I never felt that way. I don't feel that way on here. We go over it at 5 o'clock, what we're going to talk about, and mostly Nick and I, we all understand the show and the stuff they present resonates, but I don't feel like I'm doing anything to stay relevant, but he is so right. So in order for them to stay relevant, they have to make comments that keep them in the conversation. This wasn't going on 08, 09. He's right about that. Sports Center of my youth, those guys made highlights, so much fun. And that's what they showed on SportsCenter. Now they got dorky ass, you got to have X number of women and all this other stuff, and it's just bad. It's children. Like Dan Patrick was great. I'm not even talking about him. You can go down the list. Hell, Elle Duncan wasn't horrible, and then she became Elle Duncan. I mean, she's the poster child for look at me. I don't want to just be a SportsCenter reader. I'm going to be somebody. Yeah, okay, great. Now it's all talk shows and people whose opinion are so important now they believe they're celebrities. Looking at you, Stephen A. Smith. But the facts of the matter is somehow Stephen A. Smith they're the stars for just being able to talk about sports or give a take about sports, many of which are unfounded or asinine, as we all know, but that's the environment we are in. He's right about that. I mean, look, I can't lie to you. My TV right now is not on any of those shows. Should be. My dog's not here. But then after my show, I usually go work out for 20 minutes and then go to my other show. The last time I watched Get Up, the last time I watched, what's that show with Stephen A. Smith, First Take, I couldn't even tell you. Like this morning, I did a show on Fox and Friends, and my hit ended at 6 o'clock. So usually I get up at 7, but I was a little tired this morning. So I turned on my TV, and I'm like, what do I watch? I would like to watch Good Morning America, but that's become so left-leaning. He's right. So I watched Boomer and Geo and fell asleep for an hour. Not bad. At least you had people that were sane. Speaking of sane, starting to lose hope that he's ever going to be on our show, the great Lane Kiffin, the head coach of Ole Miss, and you may say a little overrated. Boy, does he get a lot of pub, and I don't know. Not sure what he's won, but I like him. He's not shy when it comes to letting his opinion fly to the masses. He's making an issue with college football's crammed calendar by saying it's a dumb system. It is a dumb system. How are you still in the middle of the season, if you really want to break it down? Those teams in the playoffs, they got 4 games left. Okay, the last third of the season. They've played 12. They got 4 left. I don't know, last quarter of the season, and everybody on your team can go enter free agency. Now think about that, because that's exactly what it is. Everybody on your team, just like on the Bears or the Colts or the Chiefs, right now could enter free agency as they enter the playoffs. This is what Kiffin's saying. It's true. It's the dumbest system I've ever seen. Guys that are on a team playing for a national championship are putting themselves in the portal. A third-string quarterback, I think his last name is Brown, number 33 for Ohio State, put himself in the portal, but he's going to, quote, stay with the team. Well, fans are saying, well, you know, that shows you the kind of man he is. What? Anyway, it's the calendar. Kiffin, who's been an outspoken about his team and others from the powerhouse Southeastern Conference getting left out of the college football playoff, ripped the football calendar that forces many coaches to juggle a transfer window while preparing for a bowl game. Now, people are going to say, well, you're paid a lot to juggle. People are going to say, good for the kids, because you all think it's all about 18 to 23-year-old kids. I've said this is bad for the sport and bad for the schools. A national championship in football is worth millions, if not billions, in this day and age to a school. Enrollment goes up, sponsorship goes up at 10. I mean, you name it. The merchandise itself through the roof, you name it, it's pretty good. But they sabotaged the sport by letting kids transfer. They sabotaged the sport by putting this transfer portal in when the most important part of the season is yet to be determined. Seriously, it came on the heels of several coaches having to squeeze National Signing Day into a week of preparation for conference championship games. And I don't care. Look, those of you that tell me, well, anything that gets the kids more money, oh, bullshit. Anything that makes the sport better and the universities better, I'm all for. Anything that makes the kids more money, that's ancillary to me. That's secondary to me. They should have the reason and the ability to bounce. Yeah, they should. Good for them. Get the hell out. However, shouldn't be at the expense of the sport or the school, period. We just try to make the best of the situation. It really is a dumb system. Think about what we're talking about, or what Manny Diaz, just had to address. The Duke coach just lost his quarterback, Malik Murphy. Went in the transfer portal. Quarterback going in the portal. Just think about what we're talking about. See, that hurts the school. That hurts the sport. Because that bowl game that Duke is in is lessened because, let's be honest, who's the star player? Malik Murphy on Duke. When you start hurting the sport, the powers that be have an obligation to protect the sport. The school. Great. Yay, rock. Go fight, win. Some player has the ability to move. I don't care. Well, you hate players. I don't hate players. I just make damn sure if I were the commish, I protect the school and I protect the sport. And while I'm doing that, I'm probably going to protect the ACC, the conference. So just stop. The season's not over yet. And there's a free agency window open. Just think if the NFL was getting ready for the AFC, NFC playoffs, postseason, players are in free agency. That's what I just said. It's really a poor system. But we just try to manage it the best we can through it. And hopefully someday it'll be fixed. He's not wrong. He's 100% right. What are you, crazy? Imagine, because it's the same thing. It is legitimately free agency. When's the last time, just a thought off the top of my bald dome, when's the last time you heard a college coach talk about academics? I don't even think you do anymore. I asked my son at Illinois State, I said, yo, man, does anybody get ineligible anymore? I used to sweat it out as a head coach and as the academic coordinator at Indiana. I used to sweat it out. I mean, I would sweat it out this time of year, headed towards the end of the semester. Shoot, I remember I found an independent study course for a kid to get back eligible over Christmas. Ended up being a Big Ten Player of the Year. Pretty good move by old Double Schnizzle. Anyway, boy, is he right. Hey, man, look, my name's Mahomes. I ain't playing. I'm going to transfer. I'm going to go, I don't know, looks to me like the Colts need a quarterback and they're going to pay me more money. Oh, shoot. Imagine that at the beginning of the playoffs? Stop it, stupid. That's just stone ignorant. Hey, Diva wide receiver alert. This time it's Deebo Samuel, who has been a diva. Remember when Deebo was holding out because they used him too much? They gave him the ball up the middle. They gave him the ball in a passing game. They threw him in the middle of the field to catch passes. They handed it to him as a running back. A lot of guys playing football would love that opportunity, but not Deebo. Deebo, back a few years ago, got all sad about it and went in the club and held up a sign, something like Free Deebo. So Deebo Samuels is a diva. If they win ever, the 49ers, a Super Bowl, maybe they have with Deebo Samuels. I don't think they have, but if they ever do, I'll say he's the first diva wide receiver to win a Super Bowl, assuming he continues to be a diva. Samuel, who is having a bad year by his and the team's and the NFL standards, fired up his social media account to vent his frustration over not getting the ball, and he got, as we say in the hood, bitch slapped. He did. On Monday afternoon, Samuel wrote on X, not struggling at all, just not getting the ball. He later deleted the tweet and added a separate one saying he was not hating on any of my teammates. Well, of course you were. Well, yeah. Hey, of course you were. The community notes absolutely bodied. I mean, they bodied Samuels. With the Vikings, the Niners preparing for the Rams on Thursday night tonight, Samuel was asked if he wanted to offer any further clarification on his post. You read what you read. I'm a little frustrated for sure. I understand Deebo saying that. I do. Hey, Deebo wants to help us out. And the only way he helps us out is getting the ball more. We'd like to get him more. Is it a distraction in our building? No. My advice is to not let the outside frustrate you because just answering those things isn't going to help you in any way. It usually only hurts you. This is Kyle Shanahan, the coach. But as far as what we deal with in our relationships and our team, it's water under the bridge. Here's the screenshot of community notes just taking the bitch hand. That's the pimp hand to Deebo Samuels. There it is, not struggling at all, just not getting the ball. Readers added content. He leads the team in drops. He is struggling. That's right. You lead the team in drops and you're highly paid and you're supposed to be an all-pro. You are struggling. Samuels, he got rid of that tweet quick. Smart. Very smart. You know what? Good for him. Hey, we got a Diva wide receiver dad alert. Roma Duze of the Chicago Bears. His daddy is on social media blaming the Bears coaching staff for his son's lack of use and his lack of production. Black Ditka. Lost Hebrew _ Dre. People are actually kind of clever sometimes. Black Ditka. Roma Duze would have 1,100 yards on any other NFC North team. 1,500, says the great James Aduze. Oh, shut up, Dad. Just shut up. My God. What are you doing? What's going on? Brilliant. There you go. Put that up a little bit more. I like it. He's special, and honestly, I blame the coaching staff for how he's being used. James Aduze, go suck it. Just shut up. I'm just protecting my son. We're competitors. You're not a competitor of nothing. Put that one bigger up if you don't mind. Figure it out. If I get one 2024 Bears hot take, it's that Chicago has politics problem, and it'll sort out in their wide receiver room. 2 guys, $20 million. Another's the best wide receiver. Rome looks that good. I don't know what Waldron will sort this out. Waldron's been gone. James Aduze. He's a doozy. See what I did there? That's pretty good. Oh, man, I like this. Save the best for last here. New York City Marine veteran and hero, absolute hero, sat down with Fox News Judge Jeannie Pirro for a powerful first interview since the jurors found him not guilty of criminally negligent homicide in the subway chokehold death of Jordan Neely, saying he couldn't live with the guilt if Neely hurt any of those subway passengers. Here is the hero.
I mean, I'm not a confrontational person. I don't really extend myself. I think this type of thing is very uncomfortable.
Hey guys,
all this attention and limelight is very uncomfortable. And I would prefer without it. I didn't want any type of attention or praise, and I still don't. Mm-hmm. The guilt I would have felt if someone did get hurt, if he did do what he was threatening to do, would never be able to live with myself. And I'll take 1 million court appearances and people calling me names and people hating me just to keep one of those people from getting hurt or killed.
There you go. I was actually looking down. I couldn't really hear it, but I loved it because I did hear it before the show, and it's fantastic. Look, how about that? How big a hero are you when you're like, yeah, I'll take this many, many times over to save lives. I'll take being in a courtroom. You know, when you know you're doing the right thing, you really don't worry about it. Sure, people's reactions will be what they're going to be. Everybody understands that. But when you 1,000% know that you are doing the right thing, that stuff don't sell. This is kind of sad. This is kind of stupid. Ohio Representative Republican Josh Williams of Sylvania Township, which is way north, just south of Michigan. So he's had to hear all the Michigan stuff. Sylvania is a nice city, literally just south of the Michigan line, a little bit north of Toledo, if that's even possible. He's proposed the O.H.I.O bill. The O.H.I.O bill, well, let's find out what it means. You ready? O.H.I.O would prohibit planting a flagpole or flag in the center of the Ohio Stadium football field on the day of a college football game, and to name this act the O.H.I.O Sportsmanship Act. The bill read, no person shall plant a flagpole with a flag attached to it in the center of the football field at Ohio Stadium of the Ohio State University on the day of a college football competition, whether before, during, or after the competition. Whoever violates this section is guilty of a felony of the 5th degree. A violation of this section is a strict liability offense, section 2901-whatever.20 of the revised code does not apply Josh represents folks who live along the Florida border or Michigan border. Why would I say Florida? I'm reading it right here. Michigan border in Northwest Ohio. He lives this war on a daily basis, and he went out and put his name on the line with this bill. Really? All right. That might be Joe Kinsey that wrote that. We're going to talk to Joe Kinsey later. I got to tell you, just stop it. Just stop it. Come on. Whoever plants a flag is a felon. You can't vote, carry a firearm. What'd you do, man? Well, I raped and robbed. What'd you do? I murdered 3 people. What'd you do? I planted a flag. Michigan fan brought my Michigan flag, planted it. I just made the game-saving tackle in the big game at Ohio Stadium 2 years from now. I planted a flag, and now I'm in jail. Felon. Stop it.